My name is Lisa, and I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM. And I want to welcome you all to today's session of Solution Studio, if I can say it. Uh, Today, our subject is scheduling best practices. So let's get started. Okay, so if everybody can see my schedule, I'm going to go over quite a few things about the schedule and how it interacts with different parts of the software. So reporting, that type of thing, and some little tricks that you can use to see how to schedule more effectively and also how to see if you can fit maybe one or two more calls into your day, because just adding that one or two more calls into your day when you have that little bit of extra time will help you grow your business. Okay. So we have our regular schedule that everybody gets when they log in, and we have what we call the work queue. And so the work queue is a very handy feature to have and to use if you want to be able to put calls here that you've scheduled that you're kind of waiting to kind of either fit into the schedule, or say you had something scheduled and the person called in and had to go, forgot that they had a doctor's appointment, or that they had some other reason that they had to leave and they said they'll call you when they're going to be home. And then that way you can kind of drag and drop it over to whoever's available at that time when they get home. Oops. Got one more joining. Hi, Ruby. We just got started. I'll go back here and go over it just a little bit, and anybody else who logs in will be able to watch the first part of it from the video. So we were talking about the schedule page and how to fit more calls into your day, and about the service requests and how you can use this. So the work queue stays over on the left side. You can hide it if you like. If you're never going to use it, you can always hide it or show it. Anything red in the system, you can click on and it does something. So we also have service requests. Service requests are when you don't know who is going to go or when they're going to go. So you can have these kind of linger here a little bit. The customer says, "Oh, I'm going to be home next week. It come anytime next week." So you create it and you have it here. And once you decide that you have somebody that is in that area so that you're not um, bouncing your techs all over town, you can schedule it on that tech for that day in any gaps that you have. And then that way it'll save on gas costs because we know how much gas costs right now. So you can just drag and drop it to them, or you can click on it and edit it. So this is, you don't know who you're going to send or when you're going to send. And when you create these, we'll just say I'm just going to click on the schedule and you're going to create a service request. When it is a service request, all you have to do is give it a duration. You know the customer, you know the location, you just don't know who and when. So a duration will give you the amount of time that you think that that call is going to take. You can also schedule a level 1 or 2, whatever tech level you want to have on that, and make sure that all the information is in here with what they're going to do. If it's going to be scheduled in the future, if you're going to drag and drop it, you may want to turn these other ones off because they're going to get a notification that it's been scheduled for today and you're going to send somebody out that day. If it's going to be in the future, leave those on so they'll get their notifications. And if you have um, any information or appointment tags that you want to put on there, and appointment tags are great because you can have a job type and then you can also assign these little tags. So let's say this was a commercial install or residential new construction job type. You could come in and choose rough in and put it on there. You could put another tag in there and add a new tag to take your tall ladder. This shows on some reporting so that you can see these and see the level of the appointment tag that you're working on. So if it was a rough in, a trim out, a final, that type of thing, you can use it for that as well. Always remember on your appointment, you can see all the previous calls and notes for that customer, if they have an outstanding balance, if they have maintenance plans, and you can kind of get a chance to see their equipment if you have any loaded on the customer. Okay. So we go back to the appointment. So this is a service request. We don't know who and we don't know when. Okay, so if I go back to schedule now and I assign a time, but I don't know who's going to go, I can hit assign later. So I have the customer, I have the location, and I have the time, but I don't know who I'm going to send there. I don't know who's going to be available at that time. So once you do this, it's going to live in unassigned appointments. And unassigned appointments are very important to monitor. Someone, I'm using air quotations, I use this a lot because it usually means somebody in the office is going to have to monitor these. So you've told your customer that you're going to be there on a certain date and time. Well, tell them they're going to be there Friday morning at 8 o'clock. At 8:05, they're going to call you and find out where you are. And it may be sitting in here in this unassigned appointments. You just haven't assigned it to somebody yet. So somebody needs to monitor these to make sure that you're getting your customers scheduled when you told them. It's a little less important here to monitor them because you haven't told them when you're coming. But once you tell them you're going to be there, they're going to be home. They're going to be taking time off work. They're going to be doing other things to make sure that they're home, hopefully. And so that when you come out, that they will be there. So make sure that you monitor these. Now, one of the other thing about these is, as you can see, they take up a little bit of space. And as you start getting a lot of these in here, if you're doing a lot of service work, a lot of other work where you're using this work queue, out of sight is out of mind. So once these start going down, instead of going and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, if you know some basic information about it, you can sort by oldest to newest. If it's an unassigned, I can't even say that word today, unassigned appointment, it will show up here when you search by date. You can search by job type. If you're using coverage zones, you can search by coverage zone, or you can search by the customer name to see where it is in the thing and reduce the number of items that you have to scroll through. Okay, so that's how the work queue works. You also have, this is the calendar view, the list view. So a lot of people like to take the date that they're looking at and print that out. So maybe I want to see what we have for tomorrow. I can go in and choose the date for tomorrow, go to the list view, and print this out for tomorrow so that when I get in the morning, let's say my internet's not working, something's not going right. I have a list of jobs that I can refer to. And you can also go to the reporting and print out your appointment report as well. Okay. You also have the map view. I'm going to go back to my date so that I actually have something on the screen. The map view. Okay. The map view, we'll see if I can make this get in a little bit bigger and then drag and drop. See if I can find any of my icons. I'm in Atlanta. Good Lord. There we go, Charlotte. Okay, so you can go in or out to cover your areas however you like. So if I had service requests in here that I had on the date or anything, they would show in here. So appointments show as blue pins and service requests show as pink pins. This is a test account, so some of the things I may not have information in the way that it's supposed to be, and we go in here to break things. So they may not show, but you can see where your techs are and where the appointments are and where the service requests are so that you can kind of get an idea of how close some of your techs are to those service requests, and maybe you can get them scheduled. Okay. If you have Azuga, this will be the link to the vehicle tracking where you would click into it and go to Azuga. See, this account doesn't have it, so it wants me to sign up for it under additional products. But if you have Azuga, that link will take you to where your login for Azuga is there. And we also have a legend in here that tells you what all the different icons are. Okay. We have horizontal, vertical, daily, weekly, any way that you'd like to see this, you can. But one of the features that really flies under the radar, which will really help you in scheduling, and as I mentioned before, scheduling additional calls during the day. So We all know that when you line up your schedule, it looks really, really nice and everything's all in a row. And then the day happens as the day happens. Techs clock in early, techs clock in late. Okay. Techs are running ahead or behind schedule. If you look at this scheduled view, there's no way to tell. You can tell that these appointments are complete because they are gray. Okay. And you can hover over it and get the information of when it was scheduled, but that's about all you can get. And you can see that he has a little gap of time before he goes to Henny. So we have a scheduled versus actual time button up here. Flies under the radar. And I went in earlier this morning. I didn't spend a lot of time. That's why these are so small, clocking in and out of their jobs. And as you can see, it was all lined up. A little break in there for him to take lunch. But the actual time, I can come in and hover over it and see the scheduled time was 8 to 10. It was actually there from 10:09 to 10:21, and he moved on to his next call. If I can get it, so tiny, let's see if I can get it. Okay. So this one, he clocked in early. He was scheduled from 10 to 12, but he clocked in at 10:21 and finished at 10:21. He was fast. He didn't even have to do anything there. So this leaves this huge gap of time. He was late because that was an 8 o'clock call. Okay, so you can address that with your tech on why they're late or why they're not late. But he clocked into the job, he got it done early, he got the next one done, or either they canceled, whatever. He has all of this space in here. If you have another call that is in that area, you can drag and drop it over and put some more calls in there on his day to get these out of your service request, get your customers scheduled and taken care of so that you can get paid and make sure that you're using the schedule effectively. Okay. So one of the things that we also have are dispatch groups. So once you sign up, you have an example dispatch group. Some people never change that. They just leave it example dispatch group. But if you want to be able to see maybe all of your installers in one group and all of your service in another group, you would come in and you would take care of the user and put it on a dispatch group. And you can create more dispatch groups. You can edit the group. People can live on more than one dispatch group so that if you have a technician who's doing service for you that may double as an installer, you can put them on both. Okay. You can rename them, recheck them, and you can put these on the user. If I go to settings, user management users, there is a box there to assign them to more than one if you'd like. Anytime you see a box in our system that does not have a drop down, it's usually a multi-select. These are a single selection, but I could come in and choose different dispatch groups and multiple dispatch groups there. Okay. So let's go to a job. Go to check. Okay, so if I go to a job, let's see if I have one in here that is just, we're just going to do P&L. So if you have a technician, the appointment shows up like this on the job. And if you click anything red you can click on, this is when they were actually scheduled from 2 to 4. This is what time they were actually there. If they forgot to clock in, it will say NA here, and you can click here on the NA and add new time clock entries here in case they forgot. If they're in a job, you have to wait till they get out of the job to edit this. Okay, it'll give you the job time. And let's say they forgot to clock in. You can change the status manually. Some dispatchers like to do this manually. They want their techs to call them and let them know. Others don't care. They want them to do it from the mobile app and hit en route, at job, complete. It's all up to you how you do a business. And remember I said appointment tags? They'll show up here and they'll show up in some of the other reporting as well. So you can always schedule from the job. You can schedule a new appointment, a service request, or an unassigned appointment here. Anything red in the system, go into the customer. You can use the quick start button here to schedule an appointment. same modal, okay? And if this customer has a maintenance plan, you would schedule the service windows from here, okay? And once you schedule the service windows from here, once they clock in and out of those jobs, this will say completed, and you'll know that for how much you owe your customer. So let's say I have a new dispatcher, or I forget and I have the customer on the phone, forget that it's a maintenance plan. I come in here, I schedule the appointment from here instead of here. This service window is still open, but you have an appointment on your timeline that are probably going to say that you did the first service window. You can take note of that number and come to maintenance plans, click on the pencil beside it, change job, go look for 214, and it will take on the appointment status. It'll change the number from 210 to 214, and it will change the appointment status to completed if they have completed the appointment on job number 214, where they actually did the service. So in case you need to clean these up, you can always go back and assign this to the correct job where it was done. Okay, let me see if I can clean up a little of these windows to get these out of here. Okay, so in our system, a job folder is a little bit like different language for somebody who's used to, somebody else is logging in. Hi, Angie. We're going to keep going. The replay for this, for the first part of it, will be up this afternoon so you can catch up on anything that we missed. So a job folder is anything that it takes to get that job done in the system. So if you have create for like new construction, you may have multiple appointments in there. You may have multiple proposals where you've proposed the job. You may convert each one of those into a separate invoice if you gave the proposals in stages or one proposal and partially convert it to do progress billing in here. You may have multiple proposal comparisons. You may have purchase orders. Anything that you need to take to get that job is going to be in that job. So once that job is complete, you can close it and walk away. So when the customer calls for service again, you can create a new appointment, which will create a new job, and then you can take care of that service. Now, the one of the things that you as a company need to decide is, okay, what about callbacks? If I had this job, let's say job 212, they went out to do service, they replaced a blower motor. 2 days later, the guy calls back and says, hey, it's not working again. Well, you've done job costing on that, maybe. You know that your tech was out there for an hour. He changed out the blower motor. You did the invoice and you got paid. Okay. So you know how much that job cost you by your part costs and the tech time and everything. And we have a webinar on job costing that you can either sign up for or watch the replays. But now you have to have somebody that goes back. So if you want to track callbacks, you have to decide if you're creating a new appointment to go back called with a job type called callback, or if you're going to schedule the appointment on this same job and refigure your job costing because now somebody had to go back out and finish the repair so that your customer is happy. So everybody does it differently. So it's just up to you. If you want to track callbacks, you should have a job by that, or you can have an appointment tag that is callback and be able to find those as well. So you have several options. Okay. Scheduled versus actual time. We talked about that on the job, but we also have a report. So let me go find in here and go to reporting and go to scheduled versus actual time. Some people pay their techs by their job time, not by the time that they clock in and out for the day. So reporting scheduled versus actual time is in here. You can search by techs, multiple techs, one tech, and you can download it to do payroll. So this will tell you for this date range, everything that they had, their totals, but there's a little red bar here. And if you click on it, it will tell you by job all of that information. So if you're paying your techs by job, you can use this as well. The caveat for this is they have to clock in and out of the appointment for you to use this report. If they don't clock in and out of the jobs using that mobile app en route at job completed, they're not going to show up here. Okay, so it's on them. If it's not on here and this is the way you're paying them, then you're going to have to address this with your techs and or do a lot of legwork trying to go back and figure this out for them. But just remember, this is here because when you're going to come in, you're just going to see totals. Okay. And one of the other things that you need to look at is whether you track this en route time or not. Some people do, some people don't. So there's a settings, jobs preferences. And depending on you, for you as a business, whether to exclude or include tech travel time in that reporting. So this would need to be turned on if you want to exclude their time. Okay, let's see what else we've got. We've got settings, jobs, customers, business hours. There we go. So this is how you set up your business hours in the system. Okay, when you go to the schedule and you schedule a new appointment, and you set it to 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., whatever you have set in there, it's going to give a notice that this is outside their regular times, your business times, and outside of your tech times. So there are several notifications that show up in here for you, depending on how you have your items set in the system. Let's see, what else we have? We've done appointment tags. One of the other features that we have in the system are job flags. And you can come to the jobs list, toggle this up and down, and see that there's one flag there, or click on the box, choose a date range when the flags are due, the follow-up type, and who it's assigned to, so you can track these in the system. So let's say your technician needs a part ordered. He could create a flag on the job, excuse me, to and assign it to somebody in the office to order that part for them. And once that part comes in, the person can go to the flag and put in there that the part was received and mark the flag complete and reschedule that appointment. Now, the other thing to notice is the techs will be able to see it in the field as a flag up at the top, and they'll be able to see a flag on the job, and the flag online will show here as a big red bar. The flag is actually a note, so it will also live in here. Okay, see how it's flagged and it says part order? And when you make this flag complete, see how you can see who it's created by, and the last person that updated it is in here in case you need to track that as well. And once this is completed, it will live on the job as a note. So you'll still have that information moving forward, even when you complete the job flag. Okay, so let's see. If I go to reporting, we have the maintenance plan appointment scheduling report. I'm going to go through and clean some of these up. I usually have about 12 by the time I get done. And so this is where you can send notifications out to your customers to call you to schedule their service windows for their maintenance plans. This keeps you from having to call all of them yourself. So if you're not using this feature, consider using it because it'll save you a lot of time. You can choose anything. Let's say if I just wanted to go back and see anybody who had an expired plan. In this system, I don't, but anybody with an expired plan, okay, that didn't have a current or service window. So you could go back in and see anyone that has an expired plan that has a service window of unscheduled. Maybe you missed them. Maybe you missed it. You couldn't get out to everybody in time, and the plan expired, and your customer shows no maintenance plans right at this time. And they say, hey, I didn't get my last appointment. You can come in here and look. And you can say, okay, boy, this is back from 2021. Let me go ahead and schedule this. And you can schedule it from here. Brings up the same appointment window. Here and on that customer maintenance plan tab are the only two places where you schedule in the system that clicks off those service windows to show that they're done without having to reassign it to another job. But let's say I had all of these people and I went, oh my gosh, if I'm not servicing them, somebody else is. So I can come in and send a notification, and there's 22 in here. I can hit review. I can send notifications and try to get these people to call me to get them scheduled. Okay. Now, when you do this, it puts a date in here of the last notification date. So these are people who are expired, so you're working with them. If you send them these, and as they schedule, the number of these will reduce as you do this search. And you can come back and look at the ones that are left, click on here and see how many times you've sent this notification. So this one I've sent once. I would probably send it one more time. Well, actually, since it's December 21, I'd probably call this person and apologize for missing it. But if this was normal current scheduling, I would have it there at least twice to send this out to them, because it only takes me 2 seconds to click all these and to send them, right? And then if I come back in here and I've sent it to them twice, I'd probably pick up the phone on the third time and give them a call. I kind of use the 3-strike rule pretty much for these things. AR AR notifications is the same way. You can send them out several times and then pick up the phone and call them, but try to reduce the number of people that you have to call to get these scheduled. So if I'm looking for a current plan with a current service window, I've only got these April of 26. I could click on those and send them out. I can check on them to see that I've already sent them twice. Probably got to pick up the phone and call them. But if you ever come in here and this number either says NA here, that means it's already been completed. This should say scheduled, so you may want to check and just go to unscheduled just to get everybody in there, the right ones, so that you're getting the right people, because you can search for anyone that are scheduled so that you can see whether you already have them in your service queue or where they are. But you can come in and schedule them from here. If it says NA, it's already done. If this says 0 and you're going, I can't send it to them, why can't I send it to them? So go to this customer, anything red, and the square box opens in a new tab. I've reduced the number of tabs I have open, so you should be very proud of me. And I go to um, the maintenance plan. I click on the plan. And if I go to reminders, if this is set to off, you're going to see a 0 there. So that means it has no destination to send that reminder. So when you turn this on, when you add a plan to a customer, you can add email, text if you're set up for text. I've seen it up to 4: the husband email, the wife email, the husband's text, the wife's text. And so that number on that plan will tell you how many destinations there are, and you can click on it to see where it's going. This is the destination, okay? And once you send those out, it will go to all those destinations. So if you come in and you see a bunch of zeros, go back into those maintenance plans and turn those on and make sure that they have a good address, email, or mobile number to get those out. Okay. Let's see what else we have on there. We've done business hours, we've done maintenance plans, we've done appointment tags and flag jobs. There is an appointment and service request report as well. So remember I told you you could go and print the list view. You could come in here and print the appointment and service requests, or see things kind of globally. Sometimes people like to see things in more than just one little gulp from the schedule. So once this loads, I'm on a Zoom. You can go in and take a look at that. And let's see if there's anything else that I'm missing. I think that's pretty much it that I can think of. Does anybody have any questions? This is going to, must not like one of my appointments that I was testing. Does
I
anybody
do have a
have,
question, Lisa.
hey, hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Pretty
I
good.
have a question. When it has on the right side for the maintenance plans and it has like the notifications, how many times they have been notified,
Mhm.
if you do call them, will that show up anywhere in that screen, or we have to go to actually like the job itself?
You would have to go to the job itself and you could go to the customer
Okay.
and you could go to one of the quick start buttons here and you could log a phone call here. The phone call would be logged as a note on here as well. It will show up in the timeline. And one of the things about the notes in the timeline, so this call will show up here in the timeline and it will get pushed down over time. So things in the timeline get pushed down over time. Now, if you are going to come in and you're going to create a customer note, maybe that you want to stay at the top of the timeline, like if you want to keep track of those, you could use one note and make it a bell note for that location and put in here called customer to try to schedule maintenance plan service window. And then that way it will hang out at the top of the line, the top of the timeline. And
Good.
the
All right.
nice thing is the guys can see these in the field as well. So if they get called out there for service, like an on-call or something like that, they'll see that's there and they may be able to have time to do it at the same time as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Sean has something. Can you explain the magic wand in the service request queue? Magic wand, this one. It just basically gives some information, right? It just gives some basic information on it. It tells the tech level, the expected duration, um, the zones, who's on it. 100 out of 100. Technicians do not have locations. Please have them check in to generate scores. I haven't honestly gone over this one that much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a note. Let me take a screenshot of that. That is a really good question. New and go over that because I'm not even sure we have any articles on that. So I'm thinking I want to check on that. And Sean, I'll write down your name and I will get that back to you. And I will make sure that I cover that in the next one. Thank you for that. Get a quick put this copy here in case I copy something else so I don't lose it because I'm the queen of taking copies of things. There we go, way down here. And let's see. There's also this one here that I thought was supposed to be a map, but I don't really even know what that one is. So I'm going to find out. It's been here for quite some time and I haven't paid any attention to it. Um, let's see what else we've got. Oh, if you have your notifications set up for that people can reply yes. So let's say you're scheduling something that's more than a week out. Go over here and go to settings and call and notification settings. You have email and text. They look just exactly alike. And if you haven't gone in here a long time and looked, make sure you go in and look and see that it says what you want it to see. Okay, so let's see, appointment reminder. Let's see if we go to texting. So on texting, there is this field here. So just going to date myself here. The mail merge, old mail merge, where you could create a document and say, hello, customer, and then put in the link for the first name. That's basically what this is like. So this is hello, customer, first name. Our technician, first name, will arrive at your location during this time, this date, business, confirmation reply prompt. And this is what it looks like. So it's on the reminder. It's not on the date that you set it. Like if you set the appointment today, it's not on that reminder. It's on the one for reminder. And if you put it on there, they can reply yes to the text. And when they do that, each appointment will have a check mark here that that customer has confirmed their appointment. You don't have to call them and confirm it. They've already confirmed it with you. And let's say this one called in or someone says, I just want to let you know I'm going to be here. Or if they don't have text, you can come in and manually confirm these if you call and confirm with them. So then that way you go confirm, hit saved, and now you know that your day is pretty much set in stone because they said they will be there. Okay, let's see what else we've got in here. It basically gives a score of who's best to schedule. Hey, thanks, Miranda, based off their distance from the call and on their schedule. That is nice to know. Thank you. Because I hadn't paid attention to that one. There are so many little different widgets in here and different things that do things that I'm glad that you knew that one. So I will go ahead and make sure that we have an article for that if we don't. And if not, I'll make sure to include that in our next one as well. So I really appreciate that. Okay. And let's see if there's anything else. It does require the technicians to go to the clock via the app. Okay, great. So it's another one of those things like the scheduled versus actual time to make sure that they're clocking in and out of the appointment. Okay, that's great. And so one of the other things mentioning that is, let's say the you use the global time clock. If the technician forgets to clock into the global time clock and clocks en route on their first appointment, it will start the global time clock. So we have a tracking user time, but just while I'm in here, I'll show you as well. So if they forget to clock in, you can always come in here and edit this and change their time. The other thing is, let me go back sometime and see if I have an appointment that nobody clocked into. See how it says 11:59? The system will automatically log them out of the time clock at 11:59. And so if you come in here the next day and you're kind of checking time because you're going to do payroll, make sure you check those 11:59s and see when they actually left because they forgot to clock out. And go ahead, and I used to always reach out to my techs the next day. I would check this first thing in the morning because by the time I got ready to do payroll the next Wednesday, they couldn't remember. And if I went and looked at their schedule and say, okay, well, your last appointment was 4:15, and I'm going to mark you out at 4:15. And he goes, well, I went back to the shop, I restocked my truck, I did all this other stuff, but I didn't leave until 5:30. So he may not remember that by the time you get to it. So I always like to go in and check that. Okay. Is there anything else anyone has had a question about as far as appointments and kind of getting all of your people scheduled? We're going to hire Miranda because she knew the oddball question. Thank you, Ruby. Anyone else have any other questions or anything else I can do to, oh, I did remember one more thing. Okay, settings, customers and scheduling, coverage zones. If you do not use coverage zones, you may want to look at these. And there are articles on how to do these and how to get these done. But when you create a coverage zone, no, you can work from home. Thanks, Miranda. We're going fully remote here. Yay. Okay. So you can choose your zones. You can create your zones and you can add your assignees to the zones and you use the little drawing tool to mark out your zones. And then that way, when you go to schedule, if you have somebody in, we used to have a bridge that went over to Beachside. Did AC work in Florida, call me crazy. But if they went over that bridge and it was a drawbridge, you know that it was anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour to get over the drawbridge and then do their work and probably another 15 minutes, half an hour to get back. So we tried to assign people when we had calls on that side so they stayed on that side. So we didn't lose that job time from them coming back and forth. So once you go to schedule, if you have somebody set in a certain coverage zone. When you do that appointment schedule, I go back over here. I'm on a job. I'm up in the notes. If you click the new, which brings up the same appointment modal everywhere, go back and hit the appointment. All the news look the same. And you go to add somebody, it's going to put a notice up here that they are not in that coverage zone. It won't keep you from scheduling them, but it's a little notification that will say, hey, you're pulling this person out of their designated coverage zone. And so you're probably going to be losing time if you're sending them from one end of the world to the other end of the world to do a job and then back to the other end of the world. So you may want to take that into consideration. And of course, since I'm going through these things, the dashboard underused feature. I go back to this month, it will tell you your concentration of jobs. I'm not going to go down into the thing, but you can do this on yours and you can hone in to see where all of your appointments are. And this also helps you decide your coverage zone because if you have a coverage zone that's way 20, 30 miles away and no one is scheduling from there, you've got one of two options. You can start marketing in that area heavily to try to gain more customers in there or reduce your coverage zone because it just costs you time and money to get there and maybe charge an additional service diagnostic fee to get them there because they're really outside of your coverage zone. So there's several options. And like I said, if you haven't paid attention to the dashboard, come take a look. Always check these to give your module description because invoice totals, if they're still open draft, the system sees them as you still working on them. So if the total looks off, always just check that. Okay, anything else today? Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let everybody get back to work. Let me see what the schedule is for tomorrow. We have checklist best practices. So if you haven't started using checklists yet, that would be a good one for you to attend. So have a great rest of your day.